I think on my best days, I think when you can say something that uh, that makes people laugh, but you also are you're making a point. I'll give you an example because that's probably the best way to do it. I did a reading years ago at a bookstore up on the North Shore, a Jabberwocky up in Newburyport, and a guy who was a history teacher at the high school I went to was there. And it turned out he was a big NPR guy and he knew my stuff. And so he showed up to hear this thing. Well, one of the pieces that I read that day was about George Bush, the second George Bush, and his bizarre sort of way of being. And at the end, the last line, it was a piece of doggerel. And at the end, the last line was something like, "We'd all be better off if Bush still owned the Texas Rangers." Um, and Rangers rhymed with strangers. I can't remember what the whole thing was. And this guy who was the history teacher at my high school, which Bush had also gone to a couple of years ahead of me, laughed and he said, "I take no responsibility for it." And the teacher's name was Tom Lyons. And I said, "Tom, what do you mean?" And he said, "He was in my class, but he didn't learn anything. And it wasn't my fault." And then I knew that piece had worked, right? Because of the reaction that it got. So it was funny, but I also was trying to say something about the fact that we'd made a really bad mistake in electing this guy president. Not as bad a mistake as we made when we collectively elected Donald Trump president, but still bad enough. So at best, you say something, but I'm speaking my own work. I try to have it be palatable, not just a screed.